Hey guys, we are going to chalk one of the new transfers that you're going to find in the Celebrations collection. It is this beautiful floral bouquet. You could do so many things with this, and I'm going to give you a couple tips and tricks today to get you through this so you can build a beautiful floral bouquet with this new transfer from the spring summer collection. So let me start out with the colors that I've chosen today. I wanted to choose an analogous color set, and that means that there are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, and they have a nice feel together, and I've chosen kind of a red to orange. And so the colors I have today are raspberry sorbet and then peony, so those are my two pinks, and then I've got a guava and I have the marigold color right here. So those are my four floral colors. I'm also going to include a little bit of white, and then I also of course have green stems and leaves with my beautiful parakeet en vogue color. So those are the colors I've chosen. I've also assembled some other tools here that I like to have on hand when I'm doing a project. So of course our fuzzing cloth, which you know I love. We can fuzz off our new transfers on this. And I've got my water bath here so I can wash everything as I go. This has so many bits and pieces, I definitely don't want to be jumping up and down washing my transfer every time I use it. So I've got this here, and then I've got a marker so I can mark the pieces, scissors, and a couple of squeegees. And it's nice to have more than one here just because there's so many different colors and swap outs. It'll just be you'll move along a little quicker if you've got multiples. So to start out, I'm going to cut all these beautiful pieces apart. There are 13 pieces to this transfer. There are kind of two different types of flowers in this. One that's maybe more of it's kind of a rose, and then one that's it looks more like a dahlia to me or something. And so there's like a large and small of each. So if you start thinking about it in terms of these are the groups, then it's easier to make sense of it, I think. There's also this beautiful wrap at the bottom, so there's two ways to create your bouquet. You can use the wrap, or you can just use the loose stems and tie it with a bow. I think I'm going to do the loose stems today just to keep it casual and free. So there I've got my little roses, and then over here I have the more like dahlia version of the flower. And then a couple stems of greenery. And then there's one other cute little kind of a pansy flower that is a perfect little guy to fill in spaces once you get most of your bouquet built. So I'm just going to start numbering these, and like I said, if I have multiple pieces, I just use numbers instead of trying to trace the art on the back. So I'll put a number on the front of the transfer just to correspond, and I promise it saves so much time when you're going to clean up if you're not trying to puzzle all these little guys back together. I'm not going to use all the pieces today because, like I said, there are a couple of different builds on this bouquet, but I am using the majority of them. You'll be surprised how many you can squeeze in. Now I'm going to set aside the paper wrap for the flowers. I know I'm not going to use that. And now I'll just kind of gather my pieces together. What I've got right here is just all my flowers. So it might be helpful to start by just kind of getting a visual on how you want to build this. And the way I approach it is to just do groups of 3 and to kind of work in a triangle. And if you think about it that way, it really does take some of the overwhelm out of the project, I think. So I'm going to start with the largest of all the florals because I feel like that's a good anchor point, and I'm going to just think through. I think I'm going to just put 3, and I don't want to do them, you don't want to do them in like a perfectly symmetrical triangle. You want to kind of twist it or flip it on its head different directions so that you get a nice fill. So I'm going to start with my largest flower, and I'm going to start with my darkest color, which is I'm going to use raspberry sorbet. So first up, I'm going to peel my transfer, and I'll go from the side, not the corner. I'll just set my backer aside, then I'll get this fuzzed off just to soften that adhesive a little bit. Love these fuzzing cloths. I hope you love that my nails match all of the pieces today. I was feeling super chalk couture-ish. Okay, I'm going to start kind of right at the top and just a tiny bit off center with my first large flower. And I'm going to work through these really quickly, and I'm going to use the same flower without washing it. When it's small and you can work quickly enough, then this will work. If you have a large piece and you try to use it again and again, sometimes you'll run into you'll see that the paste starts to dry on the screen a bit. But if we work quick enough, I think we'll be okay today. So I'm going to get that positioned right there in the center, and I'll get my paste opened up. I stirred all of these earlier so that I would be ready to go. Grabbing my small squeegee, and I'm just going to load it up with a good bit. And then I'm just going to start covering my screen area, scraping off the excess. I'm going to set that there. Okay, so pretty. There's our first one. Then I'm going to come over to the side just a tiny bit. And to me, this flower almost looks like it has a section where the stem would come out. So I'm kind of changing direction with it so it doesn't look so uniform and rigid. Okay, I've got my second flower. Turned out lovely. And then kind of working in that triangle system that I was talking about, I'm going to drop one more kind of down here. It's going to be one of the first ones that come off the stems of the bouquet. So, love this raspberry sorbet color. It's an interesting one though because it just dries so much more opaque than when you first see it on your board. So it's one of those ones that as it goes, I love it more and more. And there I have my anchoring flowers. That is going to be kind of the guide that I use for the rest of this project. So, and the next thing I'm going to do is one of the smaller dahlias. So here's the two dahlias, and I'm going to choose the smaller of these two first. So I'll peel and fuzz, of course. And then I've got this triangle, and so I'm just going to try to work into the triangle and make another one with this flower. Now, there's a lot of extra transfer area around these flowers. So you may see, occasionally when I lay it down, I may kind of hold up a corner so that it doesn't overlap something that's wet and fresh because I don't want to wreck it. You may need to allow yourself a little bit of dry time in between these flowers if you think that you're going to be nudging into each other. But I think I can move along. So I'm going to go ahead and position one of my little guys right here, kind of in the middle, and like I said, I'm just going to kind of hold that up just so it doesn't drop into the wet paste. And then I'm opening up my marigold, and I've got a clean squeegee right here, and so I'm going to kind of carefully just chalk him in. There we go. Oh, so cute. Okay, and then I'm going to do another one over here. Again, I'm just working in my little triangle zone that we're talking about. And there we go. And then one more down here at the bottom. You can see I'm just doing this cute little triangle system, and you'll be surprised how quick it fills in. And it is a really great, easy guide to use when you're creating this. I think odd numbers always look better in floral arrangements and things like that anyway in decorating. So working in threes is an easy way to keep just a nice consistent look. So I'm going to put my lid on that guy. I'm done with marigold for now. And then I'm going to use guava next. So this is the larger dahlia. I kind of kept the dahlias in the orange and the yellow, and then I kept the roses in the pinker colors. So I'll get this one peeled and fuzzed. And you can see my raspberry sorbet is kind of beginning to dry a little bit. And you can see how it's kind of opaquing up on those edges. You can almost watch it dry from the outside in. And I've got my squeegee. And now I'm going to position this guy kind of out on the corner. And again, I'm just kind of being gentle. I'm just making sure that the petals don't run into all this new wet paste. Because you know you don't want to pull up a first layer. That is a bummer. If you had a hairdryer, that would be super handy to work through this so you can dry your layers and feel a little bit less timid about it. I love this guava color. It's just one of my favorites. I'll be sad to see it go away. Ooh, I love that. Okay, so again, I'm going to work in my triangle. So this time I'm going to kind of flip the triangle on its head and do two at the top and then one to kind of fill in this gap here. So you'll see I'm going to come over here, and I don't want to be too predictable with these. I like to maybe put one closer to another flower than the other instead of giving them all breathing room, because you know how floral bouquets are. They don't all, you know, the flowers kind of overlap each other, and it's part of the beauty. So, and then I'm going to fill in this gap right down here. And I've got some more guava on there. And you can see I'm working quick enough with these that even though I'm using it 3 times, it's pasting just beautifully every time. Okay, there's my guava. Do you see how this is just coming together so quick? I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to grab my new squeegee and lid up guava. And now I'm going to work with peony. So for peony, I'm going to use the other small rose type flower. And I'm just going to fill in some gaps. And I can kind of see I've got a gap here, I've got a gap here, and I've got a gap there. And don't worry when you see all these other little gaps, because they are going to fill in beautifully with all the greenery that we've included on this transfer. And you could just keep building and building and overlapping. And I know you're going to do beautiful things and that we're going to see it show up on Facebook. But I just wanted to give you a simple technique today to try to get you going. So peony, beautiful. I'm going to start right down here in this gap. And this, I think, has a direction too. It has a little base that looks like that's where the stem's coming from. So I'm just going to kind of try to honor that as I position this, like that's really where the stems would be. Okay, so get this covered in peony. And I've overlapped a tiny bit onto one of my flowers. But like I said, that's not going to bug me. As long as nobody else pulls up, and they didn't. Okay, and then I'm going to put one up here at the top. Again, working in my little triangle formation. It's looking so good. And then I'm going to put one right over here. And he is going to overlap those other 2 just a tiny bit as well. I'm being pretty gentle where these overlap. I want to work quick so I don't pull off a first layer, and I don't push the transfer down like all the way around. I just try to contact where the screen area is so that my risk is minimal. Okay, so I'm all done with that peony, and I'm just gonna keep filling up my water bath as I go. Next up is the green. Now I'm going to take my little greenery and start to fill in all the areas where I have gaps, but I know I'm going to use white as well, so I don't have to fill in every single spot. I'm just going to start to work with it, and I may go back and forth with green and white just to make sure I'm covering everything. But I'm going to find, I like this little snaky vine that kind of can curve around flowers, and there's this other cute one, and then these fun leaves. I really like these. So I'll start with this snaky one first, and I'll get this peeled off and fuzzed. I'm going to fuzz it a few times because I really don't want to pull off any other layers underneath. Okay, and I think I've got a nice little gap right there kind of running through there. And like I said, I'm not super worried about it kind of overlapping some of the flowers. I'm fine with that. I think it just makes it look a little bit more realistic. And I'm not actually going to chalk the whole stem, which I think you can be selective about how you chalk things. You have all the control. So got that guy done, and I'm just pulling real gently so I don't lose any flowers underneath. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, and then I kind of need some greenery over here, and I'm going to make it branch out a little bit, kind of break the round circular shape that I've been creating, just to give it a little bit more life. So I'm going to drop this one right through this. And like I said, when you're layering, you do want to work quickly, because I think you don't want to re-wet that bottom layer of paste. You really just want to move quick. So cute. Okay, and I'm kind of using my same triangle method here. So I'm going to drop one down here so that it's kind of drooping out of the bouquet as well. I think with greenery and things, you don't have to be as watchful about the rule of 3 as you did with the flowers. I think you can really start to kind of freeform and just fill stuff in. In fact, I think I might put one more right up here at the top. But just a touch of it. Maybe I'm just going to chalk about half of it right from where I can tell. I can see through the screen, so I'm just going to chalk from where I can see the other flowers stop. There. And that is starting to help it feel like a real bouquet. And I like this one with its little stem because it'll give it a cute look. So I'm going to drop one in here. And right now I'm really just eyeballing these. Wherever I have gaps, I'm just going to fill in with some greenery, knowing that I'm also going to come back and put in some little white flowers. So here's the fun part where you could do this all day and build it up and as big and beautiful as you want it to. There we go. I don't feel pressure to fill every space though. I think it's okay to have a little breathing room here and there. Put one up here. That's looking cute. And then maybe one down low. Kind of tilt it out the other direction. If you like the framework of your flowers, you will end up loving how you've got this done, because once you've got the basic anchoring of the flowers, then once you're filling in all the green, it just comes together and it's so pretty. I'm going to grab this other leaf here. This is the one without the stem and it's a little bit larger. And again, I'm going to fuzz this a lot of times just so that if it does run into a flower that's feeling a little delicate because it's not all the way dry, then it will not pull up any of the color. Okay, so I'm going to put this guy, let's see, I'm going to fill in that little space right there. There we go. Perfect. And then I'll do another one down here in this little gap. I'm being so gentle with this. I'm seriously not even sticking the transfer down, just letting the squeegee kind of do that job for me, just so I really don't wreck it, because I'm loving how it's looking. I'm going to do one more leaf right here by this other guy, because that's how you often see leaves on a stem with their buddies. So get this last guy chalked. And pulled. Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm done with that leaf. So in it goes. And now I want to do my little stems for the actual bouquet. So I'm going to grab that. To me, it makes sense to have the looser end of the stems down, and this will be the tighter bunch toward the top. So even though I numbered it upside down, that's how I'm going to use it. So I'll get this fuzzed off. And then I'm going to position it right in the center. And it's going to kind of run over this little flower. I'm going to try to just kind of chalk it carefully around that so it doesn't look like that flower is behind the stems. And with these little mini squeegees, it's super easy to do that. Just get in those tight little spaces. I love it seems to have just the right size and feel to make it super usable. So those minis are really handy when you're doing a project like this. There we go. Okay, I've got those stems done. We're pretty much just going to put our last finishing touches of the white flower on here. In you go, and down to white. Got my other small squeegee, and here's my cute little mini flower. And with this guy, I'm just going to go in and fill in all of the extra spaces. Wherever I need flowers, I'm just going to drop them in. So I see one gap right here. I'm going to put a white flower right there. I'm not going to worry about if it's running over the top of others, because I think these ones are just such a cute pop of color. I'm also going to do the bow on the stem wrap in white. so that it kind of corresponds. See how perfect that's looking, you guys? I hope you love this one as much as I do. I'm gonna kind of fill out this left side a little bit. This one I'm gonna use way more than 3 times. I think it's so cute. Put this one down here, right off the stems. Being super gentle with how I place it so that I don't stick this whole green transfer to the whole surface. I just really don't want to pull up any of my good work here. I put one over here in this gap. There we go. And just to keep it an odd number, I'm going to just go ahead and do 5. So I have got one more little gap. I think I'll tackle him right here. Kind of right in the middle. You could do as many or as few of these as you wanted, of course. They are just a fun little filler flower, I think. Oh, that's looking so nice. I'm going to put my wrap over the base of the stems, and I just want to make sure they're totally dry before I do that. Okay, so I've got my wrap right here. Peel that off. And get it fuzzed, of course, one last piece. And then it's meant to kind of fall on the stems right where they become all one, kind of where they stop separating. So get that touched on there. And with just a little bit of white, I will finish out this bouquet. That looks like it's got a fresh wrapped wildflower bouquet. And there it is. I love this transfer. I think it's so beautiful. I know you're gonna have a great time creating with it, and it's just gonna give you spring fever if you didn't already have it. So thanks for joining us, and happy chalking.